Hi, folks, and welcome back to the Star Wars Library, where Star Wars is in print, and we're going back to the newspaper strips today to talk about The Bounty Hunter of Ord Mantell by Archie Goodwin and Al Williamson. Now, these guys are kind of the dynamic duo of the newspaper strips. When I think of the newspaper strips, this is the art and the writing that I typically think of. I mentioned earlier in the last episode that Al Williamson was the one who did the art for The Empire Strikes Back, and so he's I really like his art. I think he does a good job, and so it's nice to have them here. So basically, as the title would say, the Bounty Hunter of Ord Mantell, pardon me, is a reference to the line that Han Solo says in Empire Strikes Back, where he and Leia are going through Echo Base together, and he says, oh, the Bounty Hunter and Ord Mantell changed my mind, because Leia's like, I thought you decided to stay. So the Bounty Hunter's name is Score, and he's one of many who could take this title of the Bounty Hunter of Ord Mantell. We'll talk about that here in a second. So basically, this is the event that freaks Han out into getting him to say, okay, I got to stop messing around with the rebellion. I need to go pay off Jabba the Hutt. So here's the overall gist of the story. So Luke and Leia are searching for a new base. That's a typical plot thing of the old Star Wars stories, right? Is we have to find a new base because the Empire knows about Yavin 4. Anyways, so, and again, mind you, this is obviously pre-Empire. And so they end up on a planet that's ruled by the Empire. Han Solo ends up going to get them because they're kind of stuck here. They then go and they get stopped on Ord Mantell. While there, Luke and Leia are captured by the bounty hunter named Score, and to use them basically as leverage. So basically, he'll give them to Han if Han surrenders himself to be taken to Jabba the Hutt, so Score can get the bounty. So that's kind of the overall gist. Here's the thing. There's a lot of things in Star Wars that people want to elaborate on. They want to tell the story of. For example, the Death Star plans. We get a lot of stories of that in the expanded universe because a lot of people wanted to tell that story. So in the early days, they kind of had to, explain that there were multiple sets of Death Star plans. So in Dark Forces, we're being told that Kyle Katarn got them. Then Lethal Alliance throws their hat in and says, this is how we're going to do it. And then the Battle of T'Prala in the Han Solo novelization shows that. And so there's a lot of different... Oh, and Battlefront 2, the original one. Completely forgot about that. So that's an example there. The Bounty Hunter and Ord Mantell, this is another one of those stories that everyone kind of wanted to tell. So basically, this is kind of the one I think that a lot of people kind of gravitate to as Score being the one. So in 1983, Brian Daley, who wrote the Han Solo Adventures, which we just finished getting through, and did the radio dramas. So basically, he wrote Rebel Mission to Ord Mantell, which is another story, and he said that a character named Cypher was the bounty hunter that freaked Han out. Well, then, fast forward here to West End Games, the role-playing games company who did the Star Wars RPGs. Troy Denning, who's one of my favorite authors and most famous for his Legacy-era novels, he basically told his version in the West End Games Solitaire, or Scoundrel's Luck. It was a solitaire adventure that you could play. It's one of those things where if you didn't want to do the whole RPG, it was kind of like a choose-your-own-adventure. They had one for Han, and they had one for Luke. So basically, Alfreda Goot is the bounty hunter here. So again, you have a couple different versions here. This is the one that a lot of people kind of gravitate to, the Archie Goodwin one. The others are kind of secondary canon. The events happened, but it's not, again, the bounty hunter themselves isn't necessarily specified. So basically, I think when it comes to our question, is this essential? I think that it is good to know. I think that this is an essential read. Because it's interesting to know who the bounty hunter is and know this story because it's kind of it is a big catalyst for Han Solo leaving or wanting to leave in episode 5. But which one, right, is the one? The explanation is kind of it's kind of like a succession of hunters. Kind of there were several hunters that kind of freaked Han out, and then the one on Ord Mantell was the one that really sparked that. So to me, this is the main one. This is the one that I think a lot of people reference when they reference this event. So I would say this story is the essential one for all Star Wars readers, not just newspaper strips, not just modern, all Star Wars readers. So I would encourage you to check it out. It's a pretty good story. So anyways, folks, thank you so much for tuning in, and we will see you next time with another episode of the Star Wars Library.